The Apuan Alps, those mountains whose shaggy manes and bastions of rock streaked white with marble ring the horizon of the Versilia coast. For 60 kilometers and more, silhouetted against the sky, they move abreast of the slow curve of the shoreline, the highest peaks almost 2,000 meters above sea level, harboring within some of the most famous marble fields in all of history. The oldest, the most important, to the east and northeast of the city of Carrara, Turano, Miseglia, Colonnata. In virtue of their peculiar geological conformation, strata upon strata, and those deepest down the finest, in the course of centuries man has extracted the mythical stone, those immense accumulations of finely crystallized limestone which are still celebrated as the principal source of marble in the world. There where Etruscan dominion had kept to the coastal strip, the ancient Romans began quarrying the Apuan marble as early as the 1st century BC. To the north, where the river Magra empties out into the sea, are the vestiges of ancient Luni, once a flourishing maritime city, point of departure for the blocks of marble being sent to embellish the host of cities throughout the vast Roman Empire, point of arrival for quarry workers, stone cutters and dressers, and renowned dealers in marble. D'Annunzio sang of this land in the concluding verses of his Alcione. Could I but hold thee in my hand, land of Luni, like an Etruscan vase, I love in thee the divine Apuan marble, the humble broom. I love thy Promethean matter, the sand of thy aromatic forests, the eagle of thy peaks, the water lily of thy canals. Back in the early 1900s, D'Annunzio, Lorenzo Viani, Luigi Salvatori all played a role in the creation and shaping of the Apuan myth. A land inhabited by the Apuans with falcon wings, high priests of beauty, where the landscape itself became the supreme value, the source of positive energy, the power of creation, artistic genius, Promethean heroism. In celebrating Shelley, Enrico Pea was then to write of this far-reaching land, a rainbow fallen into the lap of the marble-bearing mountains, from whose loins the cathedrals issued. Favored art thou, blessed land, protected from the winds of the north by the maternal Alps, miracle of creation. Was this, perchance, the terrestrial paradise of the Holy Scriptures? Promethean matter is what D'Annunzio called the Apuan Alps in a speech delivered in Carrara after he had witnessed the explosion of a mine. Once more the early morning has witnessed men perform a feat that equals in its fearsomeness the titanic endeavor, an act of destruction preparing for and propitiating future acts of creation. Inchoate matter descend with the speed of a catastrophe to receive the imprint of life-giving art. Essential element of the scenery and vital living core of the Apuan myth were the people of the Versilia, the working people, the manual laborers who extracted the marble from the mountain. Salvatori saw the people as a mystic entity, and, transfigured by myth, the workmen resembled gods. They are gods when they wrap the hemp rope around their necks and climb up to the circles of marble, when they drive the mountain wagons in the lists, almost with the hand of a condottiere of souls. In the strikes of May 1912, which were particularly violent in the quarries of the Alta Versilia, Viani comments, "A proletarian battle is being fought in the marvelous womb of the Apuans, and what with the number of workers involved and the passion that inspires them, the battle may be seen as one of the greatest waged in Italy. They themselves are shaped in the image of the harsh peaks, the shaggy manes of their maternal Alps."
Secondo me i casi di incidenti di mortalità che avvengono alle cave avvengono per molti motivi. Avvengono dal fatto che i cavatori hanno bisogno di lavorare per...
I think people die in the quarries for a lot of reasons. The quarrymen have to work, they have families to support. It's capital, I'd say, that is to blame. The great monopoly and the padroni, our masters, of this region of marble. Safety measures aren't carried out, or if they are, it's not enough, or nobody pays much attention. And that's just so they can keep their hold on the working class, which has to work all the same, even if it's dangerous, all the time, every day. A score of them die every year. How do you die here? Crushed under the blocks. Or it might be the hoist, but it always happens because we're afraid of losing our jobs, of losing the firm. Those who've got families, the families they've got to feed, can't protest, and so they go even if there's dangers. I'm not going, you can go. In our town, when there's been an accident, and that means somebody dies, even the children know what's happened, and jump out of bed, and barefoot and naked, head for the streets where their fathers are working, their fathers who bring home the bread, all crying out, all afraid, trembling. Where's he from? Where's he from? From Gragnano, from Cordolo, from Colonnata. Where's the dead man from? It really hits those who come from the dead man's town, and they feel real bad. The others go back home happy that this time the drama wasn't theirs. We also tried, years ago, to carry the dead man on our shoulders round the city, to bring him before the authorities, before the commissioners, but there was nothing doing. Seen from afar, the men look like bees clustered round a piece of white bread, which slowly moves towards the hive in the plain. In the village, everyone works the marble in his own way. There's the man who leaves at dawn for the mountain to quarry it, and there's the man who brings it down from the mountain to the plain towards the sea. In the midst of white marble flows, the ravaneti, tongues of snow, there it is, the city of Carrara. After the splendors of the Renaissance, the fame of Carrara in neoclassical times comes as no surprise. The Europe of the Enlightenment was well acquainted with the candid marble of Carrara, and fostered the flourishing industry of the quarrying and crafting of the marble, which found its way to all the most important courts on the continent. And this is one of the main reasons why an Academy of Fine Arts was established even in the small but famous city of Carrara. Officially, the courses in the academy began on March the 11th, 1770. There were 19 students enrolled in the course of sculpture from life and 25 in the architecture classes. There's a feeling in the air on entering that leaves you spellbound, with all around plaster casts of every style and period attesting to the grandeur of one of the most famous schools in the world. Heads, faces, eyes, in poses of all kinds, engaged in a never-ending dialogue, unaware of time. Pietrasanta is another city of marble. Once past what is left of the ancient Rocca Arigina, you are in the heart of the city, in the extraordinary Piazza del Duomo, with, as backdrop, the fortification wall brusquely climbing up the hill, blocking out the horizon. In 1984, when the restoration of the monumental complex of Sant'Agostino in the heart of Pietrasanta was completed, the project of the Danish journalist and photographer Jette Mullendorf finally became reality with the formation of a permanent collection of plaster casts which document the activity of the artistic workshops of the Versilia. A permanent exhibition of sculptors' sketches and models by artists of all nationalities, dating to between the second half of the 19th century and the present, was installed in the upper lodges of the cloister of Sant'Agostino. From the four corners of the world, sculptors come to the marble workshops with their models, and from here they leave with works of all sizes, thanks to the skill of the master stone carvers, the last heirs of a backlog of experience and a heritage whose origins go too far back in time to trace. The marble block arrives in the workshop from the quarries, sanctuaries of the Alps, El Dorado of marble, and the stone dressers and master stone cutters set to work, rough hewing with hammer and chisel, then with compass and pantograph, the former, the finishing touches left to the latter. Sometimes the carver works together, closely with the sculptor, an alter ego of the artist. Sometimes the realization of the work is entirely entrusted to the craftsman, to the master stone cutters, who work from a sketch in wood, plaster, terracotta, or polystyrene. From Enrico Pea. The artisans wear peaked paper hats. Their faces are covered with flour, like clowns. They whistle and blow on the faces of the angels to remove the dust. This human breath on the face of an angel in statuary marble filled the boy I was with awe, as if I were before God and his clay. From Homage to the Master Stonecutters by Giò Pomodoro. The master stonecutter taught the fundamental rudiments, like how to hold the chisel, its inclination with regards to the block of marble, the rhythm of the blows of the hammer, the movements of the arm, the elegance and lightness in rotating the hammer for hours and hours, thousands of blows on thousands of blows on the head of the chisel. Thousands of chips flying off, uncovering the body in the block of stone. He taught how to work with the marble according to its nature, and the different stones, with points and chisels of all shapes and sizes, punte storte, unghietti, gradine, la martellina, lo scapezzino, la bocciarda, tools to make, to invent, to temper anew after use, depending on the type of stone, a never-ending challenge, man and stone. One of the oldest and most important workshops, Nicoli, is in the very center of Carrara. In the course of time, artists of great fame, Italian and foreign sculptors, Bistolfi and Martini, Vangi and Pistoletto, Ipustegui and Cardenas and Henry Moore, chose to work here. Ever since 1970, the workshop of Giorgio Angeli has been standing in a splendid olive grove in Querceta, in the countryside near Pietrasanta. He soon became specialized in works of modern sculpture, and the modern techniques in use, constantly put to the test by Angeli himself, have helped infuse new life into the artistic milieu of the Versilia, prompting the collaboration, over time, with many artists: Kan Yasuda, Isamu Noguchi, Costantino Nivola, Gonzalo Fonseca, and others still. In Pietrasanta, the name Giannoni means a real dynasty of craftsmen who have handed down the secrets and skills of working marble from father to son. In the beginning, it was mostly copies of sacred art that were produced, and then Giannoni, followed by his sons, succeeded in broadening the interests of their workshop and began to collaborate with renowned artists of international rank, such as Fernando Botero and Igor Mitorei. From work, with work, from this forest of inextricable gestures and actions, accumulated day after day, a piece of sculpture may be born, then to remain alone in empty space, like a child that has gone its separate way and now stands alone. If it has a voice and words, if it is not mute, then perhaps it will have something to say, great truths perhaps, or lies, who knows? But if it is mute, then it might be better to hope for its return to the mountain.
Se gli artisti vengono qua è perché trovano l'ausilio indispensabile di una delle più alte forme di artigianato. Rappresentato da chi? Rappresentato dai tagliatori di pietre, che siano i maestri scalpellini.
If the artists come here, it is because they find the assistance of one of the highest forms of craftsmanship, represented by whom? By the stone cutters, the master stone cutters who work in the workshops on the plain, and the quarrymen who work in the mountains, all from the same families, true dynasties, but who are, like the bison, a vanishing species.
Degli ultimi bisonti, perché sono anche, e questo occorre dirlo, sono anche in via d'estinzione, perché nelle botteghe non ci sono più giovani apprendisti. Queste che si fanno sono le
There are practically no young apprentices in the workshops. These could be the last marble sculptures to be made. Marble could be used only for building, for architecture, with the large blocks of stone transformed into something like sheets of cardboard, a sheet of marble to cover the large concrete buildings, or in any case reduced to a thickness of at the most 3 or 4 centimeters.
Il costrutto di cemento o di ferro, quel che l'è, ma comunque ridotto a spessori attorno ai 3-4 centimetri. Questa è la triste realtà. E allora siamo anche noi.
This could be the sad reality, and that is why we too are a particular species of bison. On the one hand, the stone-cutter bison, on the other, the sculptor bison.
Le società attuali hanno veramente bisogno della scultura? Punto di domanda.
I've been asking myself for some time now, does the present society really need sculpture? I don't think so. A lot of people don't have the least idea of how a sculpture is created, how it's made. They think that sculpture's made like cars, like refrigerators, and they don't have the slightest idea of the physical labor that goes into creating a piece of sculpture, of how many persons are needed to make it, of the importance of their help, of the effort required by any number of skilled workers before the work is finished.
Di quante maestranze. Quindi questo lavoro poi dei tagliatori di pietra è legato anche
But this work of the stonecutters is also linked to a perspective, to a moral and spiritual adventure. For in addition to being the material moment of the construction of the work itself, it is also a severe working discipline imposed by this labor, close to the sculptors, side by side with the artists, to finally achieve the finished work.
Di posti di lavoro, eccetera. Ma quali mai interventi sono stati pensati per rivitalizzare queste forme di alto artigianato?
There's been a lot of talk about jobs, but hasn't anyone ever thought of giving this sphere of activity new life? This craftsmanship, once gone, will be gone forever, for it is the product of a millenary culture which could disappear. And if it's too late, there will no longer be any schools capable of transmitting it and renewing this adventure. It'll be lost, and lost forever.
Una volta per sempre.
Come è iniziato Somaini?
How did Somaini become a sculptor?
Bambino. Bambino? Come è nato?
Bambino piccolissimo, 8 anni, 8-10 anni, io avevo già preso tutte le decisioni della mia vita. Ma è troppo lungo a raccontare, le racconto un sogno.
As a child of 8 or 10, I had already made the decisions of my life, but the story would be too long. Instead, I want to tell you the story of a dream, of when, as a child, and I did not come from a family of artists, I dreamed all by myself of becoming a sculptor, of undertaking the career of sculptor as if it were a long journey, my journey, like that of the artists of past centuries who left their hometowns with their tools on their backs and went to decorate the facades of cathedrals, to decorate the palaces. This is what I thought. I dreamed of my life as a sculptor, a traveller who worked on commission, with all kinds of adventures all over the world. But that's not what happened. Afterwards, I realized how much I loved my land, where I remained, where I built this large studio. And it is my sculptures which travel for me. I see them leave, go by train and boat, leave for the United States, for Germany. I see them crated, go up on gigantic cranes and travel in my stead, and I hope also for Italian culture.
Il mio problema era di reagire alla scultura che mi precedeva di poco, al mio maestro anche, che era stato Giacomo Manzù.
My problem was how to deal with the sculpture that preceded me, with my maestro, Giacomo Manzù. I polemicized with the touch, that additional touch, the clay, the hand, the famous thumb, the palm.
Cosa che si doveva immaginare, Michelangelo l'ha detto, per l'amor di Dio, dire Michelangelo già è portarsi su una cosa così risaputa. Io veramente credo che la scultura...
For me, sculpture was something that had to be imagined, thinking it hollowed out of a block of marble. Obviously, first making studies, calculations, tests, above all, if it was a particularly large block. In other words, not proceeding blindly, but preparing oneself first, but already seeing the sculpture there, inside the block of stone. Sandblasting was created to lend me a hand in my quarrel with the touch, and to find a method suitable for my work. The jet of sand, which has been getting larger as the years go by, I have in fact moved on from small compressors to real monsters of 300 horsepower, and all so I can always have the thunder god's bolt of lightning in my hands. And it's terribly exciting to be able to see the sculpture take shape under my eyes, no more than 20 centimeters away. I watch my marble take shape, as if it were a landscape, and without being blasphemous, it seems just like the story of the Holy Spirit, who flew over the unformed world, created the seas, the rivers, the mountains, and all things on earth.
Senza essere blasfemo, come lo Spirito Santo che volava sul mondo informe e che man mano che il suo volo passava si formavano i mari, le montagne, i fiumi. La sabbiatura, getto di sabbia, lo stai dirette col getto di sabbia mi permette di inseguire dei dettagli, dei sottosquadra, delle cose che sono fattibili.
Sandblasting, the jet of sand, lets me go after the details. You can do it with other techniques too, but at a tremendous cost in time and labor, slowly getting closer to the desired form, then roughing out again and again, modeling it, scraping it with sandpaper, searching for details with drills, and then some more, while all I have to do is give it a summary roughing out and an approximate modeling before quickly going on and achieving the finished form.
Con la carta abrasive, io invece arrivo dopo uno sbozzo ben fatto e una smodellatura anche sommaria, 1 centimetro o 2 di più del risultato finale, a avere il finito immediato.
It stood there empty, uninhabited and pure, the delicate ship, forgotten and radiant, distant its structures, cold as in death. But it was not dead, it was alive. The house, ship, prow, the vector at the heart of matter. There was no softness in its lines, nor in the starkness of its beauty. For it was to last, in rain, in war, in wrath or oblivion. Its awesome mission was to endure. Time does not respect the smile. Its duty is to be, to last. The lesson was the stone, the reason light made edifice.